Hello everyone, it's vlog time again. Today I want to address a question I get asked really often, and that's what did I study in school? I was inspired to make this video because my friend Maria made a similar one. I will link it in the description. When I was in high school, which is my first sort of memory of being able to choose my classes, I had this special thing where I didn't have to take gym, and that's because my knees are made of garbage. And so I would often opt to take an extra art class. So I basically exhausted the curriculum, and I had one more class left to take in the art curriculum, and that was sculpture. And I'm pretty 3D inclined, I like that kind of thing. But early on in the class, like the first 2 weeks, I learned that it was kind of a bureaucratically run class where I couldn't like start a new project until everyone had finished theirs, and I was like, I am out of here. And the things that were open at that time that I ended up taking was advanced physics. And you know what? I had a great time. It was a really small class. We investigated things we were personally interested in and built a lot of like live demos of physics concepts, and that's kind of where I learned calculus. Then late in high school I got really involved in what you might call AV Club, and that was like the room where the like little high school TV channel was run, and there was like one class you could take over and over again that was like production, and that's where I learned to shoot and edit video, and I got so into it my parents got me a Firewire video camera. When it came time to pick a college, I was definitely interested in going to a school with a strong arts program. I thought maybe I wanted to study fashion because I liked to sew. I was always altering my own clothes, and I made a couple portfolios and applied to several art schools, and I got waitlisted or rejected at my top couple schools. And then the school I ended up going to, Parsons School of Design here in New York City, they only contingently accepted me. I had to go to like a summer intensive drawing program. And art school was definitely the place for me, it seemed at the time, and I think so now. I had a great time there. Lots of creative people all trying to be more unique than each other. It's a cool environment for personal and professional development, that's for sure. Freshman year of art school is pretty traditional at most schools, I think. It's like a foundation year, and I didn't have to pick my major until late in that foundation year. And I didn't end up in fashion. I learned that the people in fashion were not really like on the same vibe as me, so and I was really interested in technology, so I found this program at Parsons called Design and Technology. It's primarily a grad program, but then they had an undergrad sector as well, and at the time the electives were all cross-listed with the grad students, so I feel like I spent 3 years in that department. I feel like I was in grad school during those 3 years because of the level of discourse and professionalism, and because the grad students outnumbered the undergrads. It was a super cool place to be. I got a job in the computer lab, so I was just always there. It was like I ran that place, I felt like, right? It was awesome, but I had no idea what I wanted to do when I graduated, and I felt like with my skills in like documentation and communication and design that maybe advertising was the only place I was going to be able to get a job. I don't want to like go into the workforce and have a traumatic experience that was going to like make me hate using my creativity to earn a living. So I went to grad school. It's the best way to protect your ego and not have to think about real world politics or existential crisis is to go to grad school, because then you can you're supposed to have an existential crisis while you're in grad school, right? So I ended up going to grad school at Arizona State University. It was totally like change of scenery for me in a PhD program called Arts, Media, and Engineering. It was supposed to be sort of MIT Media Lab inspired, but it was the first time they were running it, and so only a few students involved in these different research groups, and I like wrote a couple papers and got accepted to a couple conferences, but like wasn't loving the like PhD student lifestyle. It wasn't quite artsy enough for me, and at the same time like most of the funding for the program was coming from like the NSF, and so I was looking for a change, wasn't really loving my first year of grad school, and sort of befriended a professor in the sculpture department who was doing some Arduino like interactive sculpture stuff with her students. And the art department at ASU is really cool, big. They have some facilities that a lot of other places don't have, especially in sculpture. So I switched over. I had to reapply, so I quit the PhD and applied to the MFA sculpture program, and like I think a couple of my credits transferred. It was great. I had my own little studio, and I started making videos for Craft Magazine and was still blogging for Make, and I got to teach like an undergrad art class, and I was digging it. It was super cool. And then the subprime mortgage crisis happened, and Arizona got hit particularly hard, and it's a state school, so they were like putting faculty on furlough, and they revoked my residency status, which bumped my tuition up to like out-of-state rates, and they basically wanted like a lot more money, and it was gonna be like a really good close to free MFA because the cost of living out there is not that high, But I wasn't going to go into debt for grad school. I had made that promise to myself, and as a PhD student, I had been funded by some grant. So I made a hard decision and I dropped out of grad school entirely. And at the same time, I was like getting out of a personal relationship, and I quit Arizona and I moved back to New York City, and I went full-time working at Make Magazine. So I didn't finish grad school. I dropped out twice. My highest degree is a BFA. The main reason to finish an MFA or a terminal degree is to be able to teach. But when that opportunity arose, I had enough industry experience that was what was valuable, not just like a piece of paper that says I finished a school program. In a nutshell, I love school. I think school is really cool. I am about to teach the 5th installment of my Making Studio class, which is taught in the graduate program at SVA's Products of Design department. My class, Making Studio, takes students through a bunch of mediums they might not have created with before, and that's electronics and sewing. So one of the first projects is a plush nightlight, where they have to combine light diffusion through soft materials and hard construction electronics with their first circuit. Then they make their first Arduino projects, and it starts to build into prototypes of projects they have in their mind, like an internet connected bedside lamp, that kind of thing. Making Studio happens in this like state-of-the-art lab with like electronics and a shopbot and sewing machines. Their final project is an Instructable, which is a tutorial for whatever cool device they've designed. And so they have to learn through communicating their project to others, like from every angle. And it's really inspiring and refreshing to me to interact with the students, and I never can wait to see what they come up with. That's why I have them turn their homework in on Instagram sometimes, so that I can just like get the notification and see the joy of their first LED blinking or their first Arduino sketch they wrote themselves. Anyway, that's my education story. Put it out there for the record. I'll be able to link to this later when people ask me, and I don't have to tell the whole story again. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I put out vlogs about living in New York City and DIYs about crafts, tech, riding my motorcycle, all kinds of stuff. Thanks so much for watching.
I think it's good.